Hello, Wolfpack Sports Nation. I am your host, Chris Paolo of the Wolfpack Sports Network here on YouTube. And man, oh man, we got a doozy here today, man. I posted a video yesterday, first video on the channel about Pete Carroll's no longer being the head coach of the Seahawks. Published it, got it ready for YouTube, got it posted, and then right before I got ready to go to work last night, this news dropped. Nick Saban retiring from Alabama as their head coach. And unfortunately, I did not have time to do the video last night because I had to work. So sorry for it being late, but we are here and we are posting the video now. So this came as a shock to me, man. I was just sure it came as a shock to a lot of y'all out there. I saw a lot of people on YouTube were not expecting for this to happen. I mean, in hindsight, we probably should have seen it. Nick Saban this year, for some reason, seemed off compared to other years. He didn't seem like he was as entrenched in being head coach of the program as he had been beforehand, all the years beforehand that he's been here. So I think he's been. I looked earlier. He's been here since 2007. I don't know why, but I always thought it was he took over in like 2009, 2010 for some reason. Um, but yeah, man, he's um, one of the goats, man. If not the goat. Doesn't matter what. Even if you don't like Alabama or you don't like Nick Saban, you cannot look at this objectively and say he's not the greatest college football head coach of all time. If not one of the Mount Rushmore, top 5, top 10, whatever. He's definitely top 5 in my book. All right. So without further ado, I got the video pulled up here of the interview he did on SportsCenter last night. So let's get into it, and now I'll give, I guess, more of my thoughts right afterwards. But yeah, man, let's get into it right now.
Why did you decide that this was the right time to retire?
Well, I don't think there's any good time, especially when you're a coach, because once you're a coach, you think you're going to be a coach forever. But I actually thought that in hiring coaches, recruiting players, that my age started to become a little bit of an issue. People wanted assurances that I would be here for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and that got harder and harder for me to be honest about. And to be honest, this last season was grueling. It was a real grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to.
And I'm sorry to pause this. That's what I was trying to get at in the introduction. Like he said, it seemed like the season was taking its toll on him, and it seemed like he couldn't do it as well or as up to the standard as he would have liked to. And he brought up his age. He's 72 years old. That definitely played a factor in this, right? I mean, you look at Pete Carroll yesterday. He's, I think, 70 or 71. Like, college football is so much different than the NFL as far as head coaching wise go. You know what I'm saying? Because like the NFL head, if you're in the NFL and you're a head coach, right, you have a GM, you have scouts, you have people above you that can help you when it comes to talent evaluation, setting up drafts, boards, and free agents and all that stuff. In college, it's way different. Like if you're the head coach of a program like Nick Saban is, like you got to do that all yourself, really. I mean, there's nobody above you that's helping you. I mean, yeah, you have people below you. You have coordinators and graduate assistants and all that stuff, but you're in charge of every. You're basically the coach, the GM, and the head of football operations, basically. If you're a college head coach, you gotta recruit. You got to, mold these young kids into becoming adults, you've got to, you know, build a team, and you had to do it every single year. It's not like in college, NFL, where they have contracts where you can lock certain guys in for 6, 7 years at a time, and you have your set core pieces. You've got to continuously turn over your roster in college. So I can definitely understand why he would feel that way, especially at his age. So it'll be interesting, man, to see what happens. But yeah, let's get back into it. Sorry for pausing, guys.
Too. Took a little more out of me than usual, and when people mentioned the health issue, it was really just the grind of, can you do this the way you want to do it? Can you do it the way you've always done it and be able to sustain it and do it for the entire season? And if I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future, the way I think I have to do it, I thought maybe this was the right time based on those two sets of circumstances that, like I said, there's never a good time. But I thought maybe this was the right time.
So there's no illness. It's just the grind and the gruel of the season.
Yeah, there's no illness. Miss Terry's fine. I'm fine. But it was can you sustain the season? From just a mental grind standpoint. And when I was young, I could work till 2 in the morning, get up at 6, and be there the next day and be full of energy and go for it. But when you get a little older, that gets a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
What's an example of something that
they can? I think we all. I know I'm a lot younger, so I'm sure I'm definitely have to live on this, but I definitely can understand what he says by that. I'm sure a lot of you people who are older probably understand too. It's like, I remember back in college, I could do the same thing. Now I'm kind of like tired by 11, trying to get in bed in time for work. Maybe that's my work schedule too, but yeah, I definitely understand that totally, especially with his workload. Like, I can definitely understand that as well.
when you say it took a little more out of you, a little more grueling this year, what's an example of something that happened in the season?
I think that my role was a little different this year. I was more involved with the defense, had to be more involved with the defense. That took a little more time, put a little more stress, on me, made me feel like maybe I wasn't doing as good a job as I needed to in other parts of our team. And I just have a high standard for how I do things. And if I don't feel like I'm living up to that standard, I'm really disappointed. I wasn't disappointed in the season. I wasn't disappointed in the team. I wasn't disappointed in the players. In fact, this team was fun to coach. They came a long ways, and I was really proud, of the way everybody bought in and did what they did to have the success that we had. But at the same time, I felt like I could have done a better job if I was younger.
I was told yesterday you were interviewing staff members, potential staff members. Were you going back and forth even up to yesterday before you made the decision about whether you were actually going to do this?
Yeah, I was. It was a hard decision. Look, I love coaching. I love the relationships with the players. The thing that made it more difficult for me is I felt like it might be the right time for me, but how it impacted the players, the coaches, all the people who work here in the building and contributed to the success of the team, how would it affect them? That was the hard part. And that was the part that, I kept vacillating on back and forth till I was on the phone we had a meeting at 4 o'clock.
You had everybody looking up to you.
3:55.
I'm sorry. Like I said, he's in charge of everything. So I can't even imagine, being in that position where you've got 70, 80 kids who all look up to you as a leader. You got to go through that process. Oh, if I retire, how is that going to affect them? How's that going to affect the program? And I'm sure this is something he's probably thought about. He probably thought about all season. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was probably like something that maybe if it wasn't at the forefront of his mind the whole time, it was something that he knew in the back of his mind he was going to have to eventually at some point decide. But it's tough, man. It's tough, especially when you're you're the face of the sport. I mean, Alabama's the well. I'll just wait till the end of the video.
I was sitting in my chair looking at the clock, saying you got 5 minutes to decide which speech you're going to give. And I was actually talking to Miss Terry right up until that time. So it was a difficult decision because it impacts and influences, the lives of so many people.
What was that moment like for you?
Difficult, very difficult. Because I love those guys sitting in that room. I love those players. I appreciate, there's nothing more that I respect than great competitors. And these guys all overcame tremendous resiliency. They committed to the program. They committed themselves to the team for next year. And I wanted to go in and say, hey, I want everybody to make 100% commitment for the next 12 months, but I got to be able to make that same kind of commitment if I'm going to be the leader and the coach. So, and that was a little bit of a dilemma.
All right. Well, yeah. So, yeah, man. College football. A lot of changes going on in college football, man. The we just the fact that they just played a game 10 days ago and had a heartbreaking loss to Michigan, and for him to announce his retirement just 2 days after the national championship game. Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy, man. Especially now with everything changing with the college football playoffs expanding to 12 teams next year. We got conference realignment with the SEC adding Oklahoma, Texas, and now the biggest program in the sport is on its legendary head coach. It's going to be interesting to see, man. I know. I think Dan Lanning was rumored to be a potential target for the job, and I guess he came out today and said he wasn't taking the job. He was staying at Oregon. I think there's a lot of options out there for Alabama. I can see Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin's a dark horse nobody's really talking about as taking the potential job just because he worked there under Saban. I've seen Kalen DeBoer, potential option out of Washington. I just mentioned Dan Lanning. I forget who else was on the list, but 6 national titles. He had over 200 wins or something like that, I think. It's going to be some big shoes to fill for whoever's going to be the next head coach. So, anyways, thank y'all for watching. If y'all like the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. I'll definitely be posting more videos in the coming days. Man, we got some big NFL news earlier today as well that I'm going to get into and post a video about later. So, yeah, man, make sure y'all subscribe, hit the like button. Also, too, follow me on Twitter at WolfpackSN. I just made the account today, so all my tweets, all the updates from the channel as far as, any changes or anything, be going over there as well. So make sure you check out the Twitter, give it a follow as well. I'll post a link down in the description. So again, thank you guys for checking out. See you later.